Chapter 1. The smartest mouse in the dumpster. If you count slowly, coins sound like more money. 1, 2, 2.5 because this one is chipped and suspicious. 3. I spread them out on the broken crate we use as a table. My siblings watch with shining eyes like I'm performing high mathematics. Which I am. We're rich, Pico asks. Yes, if rich means we can eat today and possibly tomorrow if no one breathes too hard. I say brightly. They clap anyway. Behind us, the dumpster steams gently in the afternoon sun. It smells like ambition and cabbage. I prefer cabbage. It's honest. Don't touch that, I say without looking up. Mimi freezes mid-bite. The mushroom in her hand glows faintly blue. It's pretty, she argues. It's also glowing. Food should not glow unless it is poison. She pouts. I trade her half a stale bun for the mushroom and discreetly toss the glowing thing behind the wall. It hisses when it hits the ground. We are thriving. Pico wanders toward the street. A tall fox beast man crouches down with a grin. Hey there, little one. Want candy? Of course he does. He's stupid. I appear at Pico's side instantly, tripping over my own feet for effect. Candy? For free? Wow, I gasp. The fox looks pleased. I widen my eyes. But strangers who give candy get arrested. The fox stiffens. He glances around. Leaves quickly. Pico looks disappointed. But I wanted candy. You want functioning kidneys more. I tell him. He nods. He doesn't understand. That's fine. Understanding is my job. Later, while scavenging near the market, I hear two merchants whispering. A full Mousebeast litter last year went for a fortune. Of course. Pure mouse? Rare. Most mix with stronger ranks. They're stupid but adorable. Easy to manage. Stupid but adorable. Easy to manage. I chew that over with a piece of stolen carrot. Rare. Valuable. Easy to manage. My siblings are currently arguing over whether a pebble is edible. Mimi tries to lick it. I gently remove the pebble. The world is not kind. The world is transactional. But for me, I am very cute, and a rare mouse beast man. I look at my reflection in a cracked mirror shard. Big eyes, soft cheeks, harmless face. Time to monetize cuteness. That night, I gather my siblings dramatically. Good news, I announce. They gasp. They love good news. It usually means bread. We're going to a playground tomorrow. What's a playground? Mimi asks. A place with big lights. I say. Candy? Pico asks. Possibly, I say carefully. They cheer. They hug me. They trust me completely. The guilt pricks. Just a little. Then I picture Pico following the next fox who smiles at him. I picture Mimi eating something that glows harder. I picture winter. No more guilt. Strategy replaces it. The next morning, I wash their faces, comb their hair, tear my own sleeve slightly. We must look pitiful but promising. I hold my siblings' hands as we approach the largest building I have ever seen. Marble steps, gold trim, guards at the door. A banner hangs above. Rare beast kind exhibition and auction. Exhibition. Playground. Same thing. I squeeze their hands. Remember, stay close to me. I whisper sweetly, voice light and airy. Smile. Blink slowly. Tilt head. Do not speak in full sentences. Let them underestimate you. The doors open. Light spills out. I step inside. Chapter 2. The most adorable asset. The playground has marble floors. Playgrounds should not echo when you breathe. I tighten my grip on Pico and Mimi's hands and stare straight up at the chandelier. It is enormous. Sparkly. Probably worth more than our entire bloodline. Wow! This part is not acting. Then I tilt my head slightly to the left. At wonder. Soften the eyes. Let my mouth fall open just a little. A nearby noblewoman gasps. Good. Target audience engaged. A man in a shiny coat claps his hands. Ladies and gentlemen, today we present a rare treasure. Pure Mousebeast treasure. That's me. He gestures dramatically at me. I blink slowly. Then I raise my hand. Yes? Numbers start at 10,000. He says indulgently. What is numbers? I ask innocently. A collective sound ripples through the hall. It is the sound of wallets opening. Behind the smiles, I scan the room. Lot 3. Flashy, overcompensating, debt in the eyes. Lot 7. Calculating but impatient. Might flip us for profit. Lot 12. Smells broke. Why is he here? Lot 4. Lot 4 is quiet. He stands still while others murmur. Dark suit. No unnecessary jewelry. Guards positioned subtly. People glance at him before speaking. No desperation. No greed. Just observation. Interesting. The auctioneer continues. Mousebeast are known for their gentle hearts, fertility, and delightful simplicity. Delightful simplicity. I smile blankly and stare at the chandelier again like it personally invented happiness. I'm scared of loud sounds. I whisper, clutching Mimi. Mimi is not scared. She is trying to lick the polished railing. I gently redirect her face. Bidding starts. 10,000. 15. 20. The numbers climb. I sway slightly on my feet, as if overwhelmed. Several bidders visibly melt. Lot 7 raises his paddle again. Lot 4 does not. He simply lifts one finger. The auctioneer's tone changes instantly. Respectful. 50,000. The room goes quiet. Lot 7 hesitates. Good. Push. I look directly at Lot 4. Our eyes meet. His are calm. Assessing. Not dazzled. Not fooled. Interesting. I widen my eyes just slightly more. Let them shine. Add a tremble to my lower lip. Not fear. Vulnerability. By me, you emotionally stable wallet. 60,000. Someone blurts desperately. Lot 4 does not even blink. 80. Silence crashes down. Sold. The gavel strikes. Applause fills the room. I flinch dramatically and bury my face in Mimi's shoulder. Loud. I murmur. Footsteps approach. Polished shoes stop in front of me. I peek up slowly. Close, he is worse. Broad shoulders. Steady gaze. Composed. Powerful in a way that doesn't shout. What's your name? He asks. His voice is low. Controlled. I blink at him like I've never heard language before. Milo, I say softly. And these? My siblings, I say, squeezing their hands tighter. He studies all three of us. The auctioneer clears his throat. Sir Edward, shall we arrange transport for the purchased asset? Asset. I let my fingers curl into the fabric of his sleeve. Very gently. Sir, are we going to play? Ask. The word lands in the air. Someone chokes behind us. Edward's eyebrow lifts a fraction. Interesting reaction. Not offended. He glances at the auctioneer. All three. The auctioneer blinks. Sir, the listing was for one. All three, Edward repeats calmly. His tone does not rise. It does not need to. The room stiffens. I look up at him with wide, shimmering eyes. You won't separate us, right? I asked. Too pitiful. Strategic guilt application. Successful. Edward studies me for one long second. Then he nods once. No, I won't, he says quietly. Board members in the back look horrified at the expense. I smile internally. Full package secured. As we're led away, Pico tugs my sleeve. Are we safe now? Yes, I murmur brightly. Edward walks beside us. Composed. I peek at him again. Calm. Stable. Very, very expensive. Perfect. Step 2 complete. Chapter 3. Mansion is big. His house is not a house. It is a kingdom pretending to be a building. The gates alone could crush our entire childhood. I press my face to the carriage window and gasp. It's so big. This part is only half acting. The estate stretches across rolling lawns, fountains sparkling like they're being paid to exist. Guards stand every few meters. Real guards. Armed. Alert. Security density. Impressive. Potential escape routes. Limited but manageable. Staff count estimate. At least 40. I blink innocently. We step out of the carriage. Excellent. We enter the mansion. I immediately tilt my head back and stare at the ceiling. Painted angels. Gold lining. Chandeliers again. Bigger than auction hall. Is this the sky? I whisper. Acting needs to be done so good. A maid giggles. Another maid whispers something to her friend. Left one. Curious, soft-hearted. Right one. Gossip vector. Must monitor. We walk down the hall. Door count. Window placements. Staircase turns. Security cameras disguised as wall ornaments. Interesting. Behind me, a crash. I turn. Mimi has opened a random door and found what appears to be a ceremonial display room. She is holding a crystal decanter. Smells yummy, she declares. Before I can move, Pico has grabbed a perfume bottle from a decorative table. We cook, he shouts. He dumps it into a nearby decorative brazier. Fire flares. A maid shrieks. I gasp loudly. Fire, pretty. Why are you like this? Edward steps forward, calm as always. He signals a guard. The fire is extinguished in seconds. I wobble over and gently remove the perfume bottle from Pico's hands. No cook without rice, I murmur sweetly. He nods solemnly. Crisis contained. Damage minimal. Edward is watching me. Not the siblings. Me. He saw how quickly I assessed. How I redirected instead of panicking. Interesting. We continue the tour. This is the West Wing, Edward explains. I blink up at him. Wing? House has wings? Does it fly? Sir. A butler coughs to hide laughter. Edward's lips twitch. Not that kind of wing. And Eddie, don't call me sir. Okay. I nod seriously like I understand nothing. West Wing. Likely private quarters. East Wing probably administrative. Kitchens near southern corridor based on scent flow. Important. Eventually we reach a large bedroom. Soft bed. Thick blankets. Window overlooking the garden. Mine. Ours. The siblings immediately jump onto the mattress and begin bouncing. I laugh brightly and join them for effect. Then I sit on the edge, looking small. Edward dismisses the staff quietly. When the room empties, he steps closer. You'll be safe here, he says. Simple. Not dramatic. Not performative. Safe. The word settles strangely in my chest. I nod and rub my eyes like I'm sleepy. He hesitates, then gently guides me under the blanket. His hands are careful. Warm. He tucks the blanket around my shoulders. No one has done that before. I blink up at him. Eddie, good night. I murmur softly. He exhales something that sounds almost like a laugh. He leans down, and he presses a light kiss to my forehead. Not ownership. Not dominance. Affection. My heart stutters in a very inconvenient way. He straightens. Rest, sweetheart, he says. He turns to leave. I close my eyes, thinking, security high, financial stability secured, alpha emotionally stable, sibling survival probability significantly increased. And now, unexpected variable, gentle. I curl slightly under the blanket. Step 3 complete. Chapter 4. Stupid Mousebeast. Mornings at Eddie's mansion are very peaceful. Birds chirp. Fountains sparkle. Guards rotate in 12-minute intervals. Security blind spot near the eastern hedge lasts approximately 4 seconds. It would be a perfect morning if my siblings were not missing. I step outside and inhale. Fresh grass, flowers, and wolf. Oh no. I follow the sound of delighted squealing. There they are. Pico is attempting to climb a fully armored wolf guard like he is a decorative tree. Mimi is holding colorful candy from breakfast and offering it to another wolf. Puppies, she declares happily. They are not puppies. They are elite security personnel with teeth that could rearrange family trees. The wolves stand rigid. Professionals. But their ears are twitching in visible confusion. Several human staff stand nearby pretending not to panic. I begin walking toward them. Slowly. Calmly. Then I remember I am supposed to be an idiot. So I wobble. I trip on absolutely nothing. I gasp dramatically. So fluffy. If one of you gets eaten, I will resurrect you just to scold you. Pico has reached the wolf's shoulders. Can we keep him? he asks. The wolf looks straight ahead, eyes focused on the horizon like he is contemplating his life choices. Mimi unwraps candy and pushes it toward a wolf's mouth. Sweet, she encourages. Oh shit, how did I gain a brain when these two are this stupid? No, puppies don't eat candy. They eat, meat, I said, acting innocently. The nearest wolf blinks. Good. Establishing harmless narrative. I shuffle closer and position myself casually between Mimi and the wolf's jaws. Accidental placement. Very accidental. I tilt my head and let my fingers brush lightly against the lead wolf's gauntlet. 2 taps. Pause. 1 tap. Security signal I saw yesterday. The wolf's stance shifts subtly. Alert but controlled. Good boy. Puppy's sleepy. We let them rest. I announce cheerfully. Pico pouts. But I want to braid him. Not now, okay. Then I heard his voice. Guess he was looking. Edward's voice carries calmly from above. Stand down. The tension melts instantly. I glance up again. His gaze is on me. Not the wolves. Me. He saw it. The positioning. The signals. The lack of real fear. I give him my biggest, most vacant smile. Eddie, your puppies are nice. I wave enthusiastically. A corner of his mouth lifts. Not fooled. Not accusing. Curious. Very curious. Edward descends the stairs with measured steps. He stops beside me. You weren't afraid? He asks quietly. I blink at him. Puppies. He studies my face. Searching. I tilt my head and hum softly like I'm thinking very hard about nothing. He exhales lightly. Then, to the guards. Increase garden supervision. Adjustment acknowledged. Good. Mimi finally releases the wolf and pats his armor. Good puppy. The wolf looks profoundly confused but remains obedient. I giggle and take both siblings' hands. Crisis resolved. No casualties. No suspicions confirmed. Yet, as we walk back toward the mansion, I can feel Edward's gaze lingering on my back. He is not convinced. Which means I need to be even cuter tomorrow. This is exhausting. Chapter 5. Businessmen and Big Words. I was not supposed to be in the meeting room. I was supposed to be in the garden. Supervised. Far away from boring smart things. Unfortunately, Pico decided to chase a butterfly. Mimi decided to chase Pico. Well, these two idiots don't know how to control them. Okay, acting need to be stupid and innocent just like them, so decided to chase both. And that is how we ended up in Eddie's West Wing. The West Wing smells like paper and expensive stress. Before I can redirect, Pico pushes open a large wooden door. Inside, a long table, tall chairs, men in suits, documents everywhere. Silence falls. I blink. Oh, big table, I said brightly. Edward sits at the head. He does not look surprised. Interesting. A silver-haired man clears his throat. Sir, should we? It's fine, Edward says calmly. Fine? Fine means I must behave. I tug Pico and Mimi close and sit near the wall. Quiet, I whisper. They nod. For 12 seconds. Then Mimi begins stacking coasters. Meeting resumed discussing numbers. Projected acquisition at 40% stake. Liability exposure. Conditional transfer clause. Boring. Also incorrect. I tilt my head. The contract on the table closest to me is angled slightly. Article 14. Subsection C. They're allowing a silent partner to trigger voting rights under ambiguous financial distress definitions. That is a trap. I blink slowly. Do not speak. Do not speak. But this directly affects Eddie's business. Pico sneezes loudly. All eyes shift briefly. And I hear it. The silver-haired man says, there's no legal vulnerability. It's airtight. It is not airtight. It is practically begging to be exploited. My mouth opens before my brain approves. But if they redefine distress under municipal guidelines, then they can claim emergency authority and override majority consent. Silence. Utter silence. Oh no, I'm not even supposed to know how to read. That's how a Mousebeast brain works. We are supposed to be so naive and stupid to the extreme core. But I just could not stop speaking up. How did I lost my acting? I blink. Edward is watching me carefully. The silver-haired man frowns. That's not applicable. I tilt my head. It is if they reference the harbor precedent from 2 years ago. I say gently. Why am I still speaking? The room goes colder. One man flips through papers frantically. Another mutters. He's right. My stomach drops. Abort mission. Abort mission. I widen my eyes dramatically. Oh, butterfly. I gasp, clapping my hands lightly. There is no butterfly. I point vaguely at the ceiling. I saw one. Very beautiful butterfly. No one laughs. This is bad. Edward closes the folder in front of him slowly. That will be all for today, he says calmly. The meeting ends immediately. Chairs scrape. Men leave whispering. I remain seated on the floor. Pico is chewing on a pen. Mimi is asleep against my shoulder. Edward walks toward me. Each step feels very loud. He stops in front of me. You read it, he says. Not a question. I smile brightly. Read. You referenced a case law precedent. I tilt my head. Big words. He studies my face for a long moment, searching, measuring. Then he says quietly, You're observant. My heartbeat accelerates. Laugh. Laugh now. I giggle nervously. I see many things, like butterflies. There it is. That tiny flicker in his eyes again. Not fooled. Not angry. Interested. Dangerous. He stands and picks up Mimi carefully. I scoop Pico into my arms. We walk back to our room in silence. Later, after baths and sibling chaos containment, I sit on the bed pretending to be fascinated by my own fingers. Edward enters quietly. The room softens when he's inside it. He sits beside me. You don't have to answer tonight, he says calmly. Answer what? I stare at him blankly. He exhales faintly and reaches forward, brushing my hair back from my forehead. You surprise me, he says. That is worse than suspicion. Surprise means reevaluation. Reevaluation means risk. He gently guides me under the blanket. I let him. He tucks the blanket around my shoulders again. Routine. Safe. Then he leans down and presses a slow kiss to my forehead. This one lingers slightly longer. You're very interesting, sweetheart. My heart does something unprofessional. I close my eyes and breathe evenly. Internally, he is testing perimeter integrity. He is not blind. He is waiting. And I am walking a very thin line between genius and exposure. This is getting complicated. And I do not like complicated. But when he turns off the light and leaves the door slightly open, just enough for hallway light to spill in, I feel something else too. Safe. Which is much more dangerous than being caught. Chapter 6. The Gold Digger's Comfort. I have officially concluded that Eddie's mansion is dangerous. Not because of wolves, intruders, or poisons. Those are simple, manageable threats. No, the danger here is far subtler. The danger is comfort. It was supposed to be temporary. Strategic. Use cuteness. Get some money. Protect the siblings. Done. End of mission. I'm not planning to sell my cuteness all my life. Yet here I am, sinking into a bath that is far too warm. The soap scented like flowers. No lurking risks, no ambushes. I dip my toes into the water and sigh. Nice. Pico is floating in a tiny rubber boat Edward bought. He insisted it was therapeutic. Pico yells, I am the king of the bath, and flails dramatically. Mimi giggles, pretending her loofah is a dragon. She squeals as she's devoured mid-battle. I watch them like they're delicate, priceless artifacts, and run the calculations in my head. Probability of sibling-induced injury? Minimal. Emotional health metric? Improving. Mission parameters? Stable. Eddie says stay safe. I whisper to the rubber duck I'm having. Of course these stupid gestures are only my acting. Honestly, acting like this disgusts me. But what to do? I'm someone who trapped in a Mousebeast body. Edward sits on the edge of the bath, calm, composed, emanating that rare, magnetic power. Wealthy, dangerous, amused, and he knows I notice. The moment teeters on peaceful. Almost. Then Pico's attention snaps to the chandelier reflected in the water. Shiny, he cries. A tidal wave of splashes follows, water threatening to escape the tub. Mimi screams, delighted. I gasp. Pico, water is for bathing, not sea storms. Edward chuckles softly. I ignore it. Dignity must remain intact. Calculated dignity as always. Later, wrapped in towels and pajamas, we walk to the dining hall. I move between the siblings like a general inspecting soldiers. Everything is orderly, safe, predictable, until a shadow falls across the table. A business partner of Edward's, a tall, sleek man whose smile smelled like trouble, leans toward Mimi. Ah, what a darling, he says, hand-reaching. Mimi freezes mid-bite. Her eyes widen. Alarm bells ring in my chest. I puff up and clutch my hands. Let's act like I'm terrified. Stranger hands scary? I said, wobbling like a leaf, having big eyes, trembling. Perfect act of being afraid. Yes, this works. Edward will do something. Let's wait. The man leans closer. Aren't you a beautiful one? Beautiful, I'll smash your skull if can. But not here. And, as predicted, Edward appears behind the man in 3 measured strides. Step back, he says quietly but firmly. The man freezes. Edward's gaze sharpens. Do not test boundaries in my household. Wow, that's the spirit, let's act some more. I gasp and cover my mouth, feigning fear. Mimi clings to my arm. Perfect. He protected her. He protected me. I collapse into a chair, activating more acting skills. So scary. Very dangerous. Edward tilts his head, assessing. A faint smile touches his lips. He knows. Of course he knows. Later, after the siblings fall asleep, Pico snoring softly and Mimi curled into a crescent, Edward lifts them one by one and carries them to their beds. I watch from the doorway. Warmth spreads through my chest. Uninvited. Uncalculated. This is too soft. Too easy. I was supposed to be strategy, survival, profit, temporary immersion in comfort. But watching him with them, careful and steady, smoothing blankets, something shifts inside me. When he finishes, he turns and finds me still standing there. You're not asleep? He asks, voice low. I shake my head. He walks over without hesitation and takes my hand. His palm is warm, solid, grounding. He leads me to our bedroom like it is the most natural thing in the world. The room is dim, quiet. I sit on the edge of the bed, suddenly unsure of myself. He steps between my knees. His hands cup my face. There is nothing strategic in the way he looks at me. Nothing calculating. Just softness. Don't be afraid, I'm here. Okay, he murmurs. Then he leans down and presses his lips to mine. Slow. Gentle. No rush. It is not a hungry kiss. It is not desperate. It is deliberate. He lingers like he has all the time in the world. My fingers curl into the fabric of his shirt. He pulls back just enough to brush a kiss against the corner of my mouth, then my temple. His lips rest there for a moment longer, as if memorizing the shape of me. You're safe, he says quietly. Dangerous words. Extremely dangerous. He guides me under the covers and tucks the blanket around my shoulders the same way he did for the others. Careful. Precise. Like I matter just as much. His thumb traces a slow line through my hair. The lights click off. He slides in beside me, close enough that I can feel the steady rhythm of his breathing. I stare into the dark. Comfort, warmth, security, something unmistakably like love. I was never supposed to want this, and yet I turn toward him anyway, press my forehead lightly to his chest, and let myself stay. Step 1, survival. Step 2, profit. Step 3, stay. Step 3 might be permanent. Chapter 7. The business war begins. Later that week, I noticed something strange. Not sibling strange. Not Pico tried to water the carpet strange. Eddie strange. Rumors started floating around the mansion. His rival is pushing hard, the assistant whispered near the stairs. Share prices dipped, someone muttered. Board members moved like nervous pigeons. Pale, sweaty, clutching folders to their chests as if paper could save them from financial doom. And Eddie? Tired. Late nights. Long silences. A faint crease between his brows that hadn't been there before. He sighed once during breakfast. Once. I almost dropped my spoon. Internal alarm system. Activated. Now I am a professional idiot. Certified. Award-winning. I blink at numbers. I ask if percentages are edible. I once clapped during a budget report. But I am not blind. Something felt staged. I followed him around that week in full cute mode. Eddie, are we in trouble? Several board members gasped. Eddie looked down at me, eyes unreadable. Not yet, he said calmly. Not yet. Interesting choice of words. Documents were left where I could accidentally see them. Conversations lowered just enough for my sharp little ears to catch keywords. Rival. Pressure. Collapse. Exposure. Too convenient. Too visible. I sat on the floor during one meeting, pretending to stack paper clips into a tiny castle. The rivals' moves were aggressive, yes, but sloppy, overextended, risky in ways no serious predator would allow, unless they believed their opponent was weakening. I glanced up at Eddie. He was leaning back slightly, fingers steepled, listening, letting the board panic, letting them suggest desperate measures. Sell assets, cut losses, public apology. He rejected nothing immediately. He let them talk. He looked cornered, but his foot was tapping. Once, twice, rhythmic, controlled. But this time, I don't know, he seemed really concerned. I immediately widened my eyes and pointed at a spreadsheet. Eddie, why is this line red? Did it get hurt? I asked. The room froze. One director looked like he might faint. Eddie's gaze flicked to me. Sharp. Measuring. I blinked harder. Added a tiny tremble for flavor. He watched me for a long second before answering calmly. It's only temporary. Temporary. Of course it is. After the meeting, I trailed him into his office, dragging my feet slightly like a worried little mouse. Eddie, are you sad? I asked. He turned, studying me carefully. Do I look sad? Yes. Silence. I smiled sweetly. I mean, you don't smile more. And I feel sad. His lips twitched. He stepped closer. Too close. I'm just having a bad day, sweetheart, he said. I'm not sure, but this time all the reports they pointed at Eddie will lose this business battle. And the game is simple, but I just can't interfere. Let's see what will happen. Chapter 8. The Audit of My Soul. The whispers were sharper. The numbers uglier. One of the senior board members outright suggested liquidating a division Eddie actually cared about. Eddie didn't correct him. He just sat there. Quiet. Too quiet. He stopped tapping his foot. He stopped giving those tiny tells I had memorized. He looked heavy. I watched from my usual spot on the carpet, pretending to sort colored folders by prettiest shade. My ears were down. My tail wasn't moving. Internal assessment. Cash flow pressure real. Market reaction escalating. Board loyalty unstable. Eddie stress level no longer decorative. My stomach twisted. This wasn't good anymore. This was dangerous. And I hate danger that I can't control. That night, he stayed in his office long after the house went quiet. I stood outside the door for a full 3 minutes. 3 minutes is very long when you are deciding whether to burn your entire disguise to the ground. If I step in now, there is no going back. No more clueless Mousebeast. No more safe invisibility. No more pretending I only understand snacks and cuddles. But if I don't, what if he actually falls? What if I lose my stability? What if I lose him? Then I opened the door. He didn't look up immediately. Papers were spread across the desk. Screens glowing with red indicators. Eddie, I called softly. He glanced up. Tired. Controlled. Yes, sweetheart. I walked in. Closed the door behind me. Locked it. His eyebrow lifted slightly. And then, I dropped it. No wide eyes. No wobbling voice. No tilting head. I walked to the desk and gathered 3 reports into a single stack. You're bleeding liquidity through the second-tier logistics branch, I said clearly. They're exploiting the delay between your overseas settlements and domestic reconciliation. It looks like loss. It's actually timing. Silence. I flipped another page. The rival overextended to force you into reactive borrowing. If you restructure this debt into staggered short-term notes and trigger the contingency clause in your minority holdings, you can squeeze their leverage. The room felt very small, very quiet. I looked up at him directly, sharp, strategic, fully myself. You're not cornered, but if you keep letting the board panic, they'll destabilize you faster than the rival ever could. You need to consolidate control now. I continued. Nothing. No shock. No anger. Just stillness. And you have hidden leverage, the private equity arm you never discuss. The one tied to the rival's supplier chain. If you pull that thread, their entire structure collapses. I added quietly. A long pause. Eddie leaned back in his chair. Slowly, studying me. He did not look surprised. He looked proud. It hit me harder than any accusation would have. You've been reading everything, he asked softly. Yes. Understanding everything. Yes. And waiting. Yes. He stood, walked around the desk, stopped in front of me. You're right, that would end it, he said calmly. I braced myself. For anger. For disappointment. For something. Instead, he brushed his knuckles lightly against my cheek. Present it, he said. The next morning, the boardroom was ice cold. I did not sit on the floor. I did not stack paper clips. I stood beside Eddie, and I spoke. Clear, controlled, ruthless. I outlined the restructuring, explained the leverage, exposed the rival's overextension. No one laughed. No one whispered. They listened. The plan executed within days. Markets shifted. Investors recalibrated. The rival's stock plummeted. Exactly as anticipated. Exactly as engineered. And when the rival finally collapsed publicly, the mansion erupted in relieved chaos. Board members praised Eddie's foresight. Staff whispered about genius strategy. Siblings celebrated by attempting to bake a victory cake using salt instead of sugar. I stood on the balcony that night, wind cool against my face. Eddie joined me. It worked, I said quietly. It did, he agreed. I turned to him, and then it hit me. The pattern, the timing, the deliberate escalation, the controlled exposure. My chest tightened. You knew, I whispered. He didn't deny it. The rival was never a true threat, manageable. From the beginning, he said calmly. My stomach dropped. This entire time, I wondered how long you'd last, he finished gently. The words weren't mocking. They were curious, measured, affectionate. You were never trapped, I said. No, you let it escalate. Yes, to see me. His hand slid to my waist. To see you, he confirmed. Heat rushed to my face. Anger flickered. Embarrassment. Exposure. Relief. You manipulated me, I accused weakly. I created space, you chose to step into it. He corrected. That was worse. Because he was right. He didn't force me. He waited. I looked away. My entire carefully built persona. My safety shield. My adorable camouflage. Shattered willingly in his office. And he had known it would. You wanted to test my character, I said quietly. Yes. And his thumb lifted my chin. And I was right. My throat tightened. You were afraid and you came anyway, he said softly. Silence stretched between us. I hated how seen I felt. Hated how safe it made me feel. You're terrible, I muttered. I am, he agreed calmly. Then he kissed me. Not triumphant. Not dominant. Warm. Certain. When he pulled back, he rested his forehead against mine. You don't have to hide from me. Must be hard to always act that stupid and clueless. Right, little mouse? But sweetheart, I just want you to know, the person I choose is not just a Mousebeast. I choose you. It's you. He said. He was never trapped. He was waiting. And I stepped forward anyway. Not because the empire was at risk, but because he was. And that realization, That is far more dangerous than any business war. Chapter 9. Long-term investment. After the emotional audit, as I privately labeled it, something inside me felt exposed. Not ruined, just seen. And being seen is much scarier than being stupid. That night, I walked into Eddie's study again. He was reading. Of course he was reading. Calm, composed, terrifyingly stable man. Eddie, I called. Yes, sweetheart. My tail twitched. Not cute twitched. Nervous twitched. Honestly, I came for money. I pretended I acted stupid. I exaggerated. I calculated every blink. I planned to leave once we were stable. Once my siblings were safe. I was going to take the resources, secure our future, and disappear. That was the plan. Eddie closed his book. I know, he said. You know. I bought you because you were pretending, he replied calmly. My brain stalled. What? You were protecting someone. You watched your siblings more than you watched the auction room. You flinched when they did. You calculated exits. You weren't greedy. You were responsible. I saw something special from the beginning, he said. I don't want the act, I want you, he said quietly. But I used you, I whispered. I knew, he said gently. His hands came up to my face. Warm, steady. The kiss wasn't dramatic. It was soft, careful. No performance. No manipulation. Just us. And for the first time in my life, I wasn't calculating the outcome. Time moves strangely when you're safe. The estate is louder now. Happier. Slightly more structurally unstable. The siblings are enrolled in supervised education. Heavy emphasis on supervised. Their teachers deserve hazard pay. Eddie and I have settled into something dangerously comfortable. Mornings with shared tea. Evenings with paperwork and me on his lap. Arguments about dessert portions. Kisses in hallways when staff pretend not to see. Domestic. Soft. Sometimes he leans over my shoulder while I review reports. Still planning to rob me? He murmurs. Of course. I prefer gradual extraction. I reply sweetly. He kisses my temple. One evening, we're on the balcony again. Eddie's arm is around my waist. Sweetheart, if I lost everything, what would you do? He asked. I don't hesitate. Rebuild it, I said. He studies me. You'd stay? I grin up at him. Sharp. Honest. I invested long-term. His laugh is low and warm. He leans down and kisses me. Slow. Certain. Chosen. And then, from the garden, we adopted a bear. My stupid siblings won't stop getting themselves in trouble. What a headache. I close my eyes and sigh. Eddie smiles against my hair. Should we intervene? He asked. I straighten my coat. Give me 30 seconds to assess risk. Another shout. IT likes honey. I pinch the bridge of my nose. Eddie is openly laughing now. I glance at him, at the empire, at the chaos, at the life I originally intended to exploit. And I smile. Fine, but if it eats the hedges, I'm restructuring the garden. I mutter. Eddie squeezes my hand. I came for money. I stayed for love, but no longer pretending. And as one very smart mouse who made the best investment of his life. I've got a confused bear, a laughing alpha, and 2 idiots.